I wanted to say a few words and thank everybody for coming out. Amanda Chase was, can you hear me okay? No? Is this a little better? Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out to the picnic today. Amanda Chase was going to come out, but she couldn't make it. Apparently, she's got a booth over in Chesterfield at the Chesterfield County Fair, which, by the way, is a gun-free zone, so I never go to that. But she couldn't make it. The booth is slammed. So, yeah, I'd invited her because she's got a 100% voting record. She's voted perfectly every year, year after year, and carries some good bills for us. You get a lot of people that'll vote right, which is important, but you kind of separate the wheat from the chaff when you find somebody that'll carry a gun bill. We've got some important things coming around the curve here. We have a ruling that should be coming out within a few weeks now, maybe as quickly as 1 or 2 weeks. We'll be hearing about Winchester. For those that may not have been following that, VCDL sued Winchester last year, and had been in court with them. We want to strike down their ban on carry at permitted events or events that should have had a permit, parks, recreation, and community centers. And we made our case to the judge, and about that time, the Bruin case was about to come down. And I think the judge wanted to wait and see how the winds were blowing on the Bruin case, and we know how that came down. So then the judge asked the two parties, Winchester and us, to let me pause here. VCDL is funding this. We're not actually a direct party. We were, but the judge said as an organization, you don't really have standing. So we had gotten some citizens that live in Winchester that were affected by this whole thing, and we're funding the fight. So they're not having to pay for this. They're in the fight, but they're the ones that have standing. So the lawyers put in new briefs based on Bruin. The city of Winchester's argument was incredibly weak because they don't have anything. Bruin really took the wind out of this. So we'll see what goes on with that. But fingers crossed, if that goes well, next stop will be Richmond. And actually, we may not have to worry about that. The judge has two options. The judge can let's say he rules our way. He can say this only applies to Winchester. Or he can go another step. He can say, no, the whole law that allows this is unconstitutional. So therefore, I'm putting a stay on it across the state. So that would go Fairfax, Winchester, Arlington, Alexandria, all of those would go down at once. Loudon.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Newport News, Richmond, all of that would go down. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if he's going to side with us, but I have my gut feeling is I feel pretty good, but we'll see. So it could go different ways. But even if he doesn't strike down the entire state law, we can take the win in Winchester, and that's why they put win in Winchester, and use that as a sledgehammer against Richmond and Fairfax and so forth. Actually, the NRA is suing Fairfax for the same sort of thing. I've heard no updates from the NRA on that, so I've got no idea where that stands. But I think doing it up there was almost guaranteed to be even slower than doing it somewhere like Winchester. So, but we'll see. So a lot of that stuff's cooking. I would love to see that go first. And I tell you, just talking to gun owners generally, I think everybody seems to be on board with the idea the thing they hate the most, they hate all this new gun control, but the thing they seem to hate the most is local government being able to ban our rights. I think how many here put that at the top of their list? Yeah, okay. And then below that we have the state government not letting us carry at the General Assembly or at ABC or DMV and all that stuff. That's like second in line to strike that down. And then you got red flag laws and all of that. So Bruin came along at a great time. We really needed Bruin when it came along. And with everything happening right now and all the craziness in the world, we have a counterbalance that's come in that's helping us to have a way to fight back against future gun bans and all that. So, as I mentioned in an alert, I'm no longer bothering with the debate of whether an AR-15 is a weapon of war or it's a modern sporting rifle. Honestly, I don't care. You want to call it a weapon of war? Yeah, you could fight a war with an AR-15. Nobody's doing it, but you could. You could fight a war with a model 1903 or 1917 bolt-action rifle. To some degree, I think probably some of that was used by the Afghans who run the Russians out years ago. So you could do that. I don't care. The Second Amendment covers it all, whether it's a sporting rifle or whether it's, in fact, the fact that if it is a weapon of war, that's even better. The Second Amendment really covers those.
Yep.
Because that's what militia carry. They carry weapons of war. And so that argument for me has completely changed. It's like, fine, call it what you want. I don't care. I'll happily agree it's a weapon of war if that's what makes you happy. I don't care. As long as it's protected and I can carry it. And the intent was to have something in an emergency where you could restore our country back to a free country if it ever became tyrannical. You don't do that with a pea shooter. You do that with something more powerful. But again, I'm also a perfectionist. A machine gun is something that military uses nowadays. Of course, they didn't always. There was a time when a lever action rifle was the big thing on the battlefield in the late 1800s or whatever. Then machine guns hit, and that changed everything. So I'm cautiously optimistic about things going our way in the future. There's always going to be ups and downs. The other side's not going to be given up. That's why we can't get complacent. Cannot do that. It'll never be over. Freedom is something, unfortunately, that there's always going to be people that want to rip it out of your hands. They just can't stand you having freedom. You don't understand that. I don't understand that. But it's something we have to take on face value. It's there. There are, just like there are crazy people that do crazy things, they're out there. There are these people that want to strip your rights away. So we will always be in this battle. And I'm just praying that our fellow gun owners out there are not asleep at the switch. It's a major election. This year is an important election. Because as you've seen what Congress has been trying to do, they actually passed a little bit of gun control. We've got to do something about Congress, but next year we got to do something about Virginia because most of the bad gun control is statewide. So that's going to be a big deal. And the PAC, Political Action Committee, on September 10th, which is a Saturday coming around the curve here, they're going to have a fundraiser there in Powhatan, which if you live in the Richmond, Central Virginia area, is probably not that far from you, and it's something you might want to consider going to. If you've never shot a dueling tree match, that is a blast. A dueling tree is where you've got 6 paddles, 3 on each side, and you've got 2 shooters. And the goal is, the clock starts running, and the goal is to get your opponent's paddles, all the paddles on his side and none on your side. That's the goal. And it's an extremely intense interaction because it's just back and forth, battling it out. And as the pressure increases, sometimes your accuracy decreases, but it's wonderful practice. It's a lot of fun. And so there's going to be a whole series of dueling tree matches going on. And the ability to challenge people. So if you're there and you get your sheriff, might be one of the sheriffs that's there. We've invited law enforcement as well. You can challenge your sheriff, see if he's as good a shot as you are on this dueling tree. The winner gets $1,000. Yeah, so it's well worth doing. Pat, did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I wanted to say a few things about the Top Gun event. Since we have a microphone, I'll go ahead and take advantage of it. Not that I'm not a big mouth anyway.
Who are you?
I'm Pat Webb. I'm on the board of directors for VCDL. I'm the secretary and treasurer, and I'm also on the political action committee as treasurer. So Kathy asked me to say a few things. First off, she wanted to ask if any of you are able to volunteer to help out that day. We could use safety officers down on the range. We can use people to help with check-in, the various jobs. So we need probably 6 to 12 volunteers that day that can help us out with various jobs. like Philip said, it's a competition for money. It's $125 to compete to win the $1,000 top prize. But if you just want to come and enjoy the day and support the competitors, you can do that too. VCDL members get a discount. You can go online, vcdl.org/top-gun, and see it's like $35, I think, just to come for a VCDL member, $40 for a non-member. There'll be Mission Barbecue and lots of good food, good friends, and good fun. The King George 4-H Club is a sporting clays group that will have a demo, so if you've never shot sporting clays, they will coach you and you can try your hand at that. It's a ton of fun. You can also, as Philip said, you can challenge anybody there, and the loser makes a donation to the VCDL PAC. When you sign up to attend or to compete, you do have to fill out the PAC form because it is a donation to the Political Action Committee. So if anybody has any more questions, you can ask me later or ask me now.
Yeah, I'll be there if you want to challenge me. We'll have some fun with dueling trees.
He's a pretty good shot, though.
Winner gets to be president.
Well, it's just like this event, you know. Usually with a VCDL event, you set up a metal detector. If you don't buzz, you don't get in. It's one of those. So we let that pass this time. We trusted you guys to all be carrying.
Also, Philip, can you thank Steve for his hard work today?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes. Steve, yeah, cooking and everything else. And Pat, they did the hard part of bringing all this stuff down there. All I brought was a PA system and me.
Well, I couldn't do it without him. He's the one that says, "Did you remember this? Did you remember
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Think about this." So, big kudos goes to Steve.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
all
we're-
have a better.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, sir. By the way, if you haven't marked your calendars, guess what the third Monday in January is going to be? Woohoo! Lobby Day. We've booked it. We've got the bell tower.
Oh, yeah.
Now the
No
only
more of that nonsense, huh?
yeah, but the only snag is we're still stuck under the old law, so it's only going to be less lethal. So you could have a pepper ball gun, you could have pepper spray, anything else that you could legally carry, but not a handgun. And you can't go. There you go. You got those guns, and but if you're going to go in the building, then you can't have anything but a knife with a blade less than 3 inches. So I've got one that's 2.97 inches long and razor sharp. But still, we need to be there, and we need to be there in numbers, especially because of Bruin. I mean, again, depending on how things go in Winchester, this may be an opportunity, even in a year when the gun-controlling Democrats have control of the Senate, to possibly turn some things around. For example, with Bruin, if the courts come down hard on Winchester, then we can simply tell the General Assembly, look, this thing's unconstitutional, guys. Let's go ahead and just change the law to show. Let's completely repeal local gun control. Let's just take it off the books. And, you know, if things go well, there may be a possibility that could happen. We just have to bring a few Democrats along. And then in 2023, if elections go well, then in 2024, then you could then with control of the House and the Senate, we can start to change laws. And what I've been telling Republicans is, if you guys get control, we're going to expect you to do for gun owners what the Democrats did for gun controllers.
Hell yeah.
They came in 2020 and they put in bill after bill after bill, and they crammed them down everybody's throat. Well, we're going to expect the Republicans to do the same damn thing for us. Just get those bills in there. Let's repeal what's out there and let's move forward. And keep in mind, we're not asking for anything that we shouldn't have. We're just simply trying to get the state of the laws back to where they should have been for the last 150 years, before gun control got put in to keep minorities from carrying guns and so forth, all that shameful history of gun control. So we're going to push hard in 2024, but I'm hoping we can get some stuff done in 2023. So do I have any questions from anybody on, yeah.
Philip, you said the judge in Winchester wanted to wait and see how the ruling came out. What's your read on that? Is that a good thing?
I think
And
it's a
you
good-
think he's likely to follow that?
I wish I had my crystal ball, but based upon that, I would tend to say, yeah, that's a good sign. And you might say, well,
But
what's,
if he was going to ignore it, he'd just roll ahead of time.
yeah. Well, he's being very careful, I think. What's taking so long is he's really writing this thing up carefully so that if it's appealed, and he's expecting it'll get appealed, I believe, that he's dotted every I and crossed every T, and that whatever his ruling is, pro or con, he's well documented it. Because, if you're a judge, and you really enjoy your job, you don't want to be overturned by a higher court, because that doesn't look good for you when a higher court comes along and says you're wrong. So if you're going to be wrong, then you want to make sure you've documented why you were wrong very well, or better than that, you want to document everything anyhow so that it works out. Yeah. And I see Glenn Sturdivant walked in. Glenn, did you want to say a few words?
Hey, Phil.
Yeah, you can come up.
Phil, just one quick question. Out of curiosity, what's been the total cost of the lawsuit in Winchester?
Pat, do you?
I don't have those numbers in my head. There's limited space up here on hold.
Somewhere like 30 or 40,000, isn't it?
Something like that. Yeah.
So far.
It's
And if it gets
actually-
appealed-
it's- for lawsuits, it hasn't been incredibly expensive so far, but.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no
Thank
problem.
you.
Go ahead.
Hey y'all, Glenn Sturdivant. I live over in Chesterfield, running for state senate to represent Chesterfield and Colonial Heights. Was just over at the gun show at the Raceway, and wanted to stop by and express my support. Something that I caught the end of Phil's commentary on the importance of taking back the state senate and the 2024 session. I'm somebody who I think is very born again on guns since COVID, and I served in the Senate previously. Got it wrong on a red flag law vote. Sort of thought I was on the right side with President Trump at the time, but we see it's bad policy, and we got to repeal that. I've always been a big supporter of constitutional carry, and we got to get Virginia to constitutional carry. Make sure that we don't have any bans or restrictions on magazines, and make sure that we are securing our Second Amendment rights. So I'd be happy to talk with you. Haven't always been perfect, but have learned and willing and working to make sure that we get Virginia back to being where she needs to be. So thank you for giving me a minute.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
And the truth is, anybody can be born again. I know I've changed a lot over the years in my thinking on a lot of things. As you go along, you suddenly think about something from a different angle. It can change everything. Certainly, the number of new gun owners since COVID was interesting, and most of those were people that didn't see much need for guns before the COVID thing hit, and then suddenly they realized it's odd, because again, we kind of sit here and we don't understand this, because anybody here that's ever dialed 911, we know how long it takes to get an operator and talk to somebody. And as I've often explained to people, I think that a lot of times a person in their head thinks what it would be like to be a victim of crime, and they get a scenario in their head of what it would be like. And somewhere, a lot of people think that they can actually pick up a phone and turn it on, dial 911, wait around for them to answer, and then get on there, and then you have to wait a while, and then you got to explain who you are, where you're at, what you're wearing, what the other person is, all of that stuff. And somehow they're still picturing that the criminal's standing there, looking at his watch. Come on, man, come on. I have all day to rob you. They picture some bizarre scenario like that. I guess they haven't used 911. Again, it's not that the police don't want to be there, but it takes time. Obviously, they can't send the police officer somewhere where they don't know where it is, and they can't send him there if they don't know who he's looking for or what happened. So they've got to get all that information. The difference is, in the situation where you're there, you're the first responder. Truth is, the person that's the victim is always the first responder. The police and everything are actually second responders because they're not Johnny on the spot. You're there. You're the first responder for your own life and for your family's life. And that's why it's important to be armed so that you can be a proper first responder. But a lot of people are waking up to this. And we're seeing more minorities getting involved, and that's good. The broader the path, the broader that swath of people that recognize their right to keep and bear arms and what that means to them and their families, the better off we all are. So a lot of that gives me a lot of hope, even though the country kind of looks like it's going the wrong way. There's an awful lot of good people in America, the vast majority, and somewhere along the line, if we continue to pull together, I think we can turn a lot of things around and get this country where it should have been for a long time now. But it's truly become a battle of good and evil. I mean, I don't know how else to put it because of what I'm seeing. Some of the things out there are really bad. So, Lobby Day, looking forward to that. Well, we'll see. Things could change as to what we can bring or whatever in the meantime. I'm talking to the Speaker of the House about a few thoughts. We'll see how that shakes out. But for now, if you go, plan that you'll either be disarmed or have less lethal options. And it's a pain, but I'm sharing the pain with you, man. Nobody likes walking around disarmed, including me. Now, that's why we picked like this park. We wouldn't have picked the Richmond Park. We could have, but we wouldn't because we couldn't carry guns there. However, again, I think that's going to be a little asterisk in history books that for a period of 2 years, you couldn't do this in a Richmond Park. Hopefully we'll get this fixed. So any questions or anything? You go anywhere we want. Pat?
Do you want to mention our change date on online meetings and the in-person meetings up in Ashburn?
Yes, okay, yes. We've gone back to in-person meetings once a month up in Ashburn. For me, it wasn't far enough to drive to Annandale. Oh, no. We have to move it all the way out to Loudon now, but anyhow.
Maybe we can shoot there.
Yeah, well, that's true. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that very well at a police station. But yeah, the facility is wonderful in Loudon. I mean, if you ever have some spare time, I know we're from Central Virginia, it's a couple hours up there, but if you ever have a spare time to go to a VCDL meeting, this place, it's a $30 million facility. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. Restaurants, they even have a place we can work out upstairs. I mean, really expensive equipment up there. Lots of nice ranges. They sell guns there. They let us use a huge meeting room. It's probably the length of this thing, I would say, and packed with seats, so we can get 80 people or more in there easily. And that's the XCal range. So we're doing that the third Thursday of every month. So you look on your calendar. Third's working out. Third Monday in January is Lobby Day. Third Thursday every month is up in XCal in Loudoun County in Sterling, Virginia. Then what we did a quick survey. We were doing online membership meetings on the third Thursday, and we did a survey, and a lot of people said we'd rather do that on a Sunday. So we're now, the second Sunday of every month, we're doing an online meeting. So if you can't make it to one of our picnic or one of these other meetings, you can always come online and join the meetings there. We get everybody up to date.
And how does somebody have a meeting in their neighborhood?
Yeah, how you have a meeting in your neighborhood. All you have to do is make an arrangement somewhere. I think my neighborhood, I'm going to have to make an arrangement pretty soon. I think we'll have one in Chesterfield coming up here pretty soon. I just need to book one of the rooms at one of the libraries.
How far of a drive is it?
Yeah, for me? Yeah, 10 minutes. But if you want one in your neck of the woods, if we wanted to do one in Henrico or maybe further south in Virginia or whatever, you just need to find a place that's gun friendly. Could be a library, maybe somewhere near a restaurant we can go afterwards. It could be in a restaurant. I think sometimes we do better with people turning out if it's not a restaurant, because not everybody wants to go eat or be in a restaurant. So, and then you coordinate with me, and then we'll pick a time and a date, and then I can announce it, and we can have, we do this occasion, we'll have a meeting out. But now that COVID's over, we need to do this a little bit more. But we can move it around. I'm thinking Richmond, I may do 1 a quarter again. That's kind of what we were doing before COVID hit. And so for a lot of you around here, that one, the Chesterfield, might be the best choice. I'll probably use the library and Courthouse Road. It's got a huge, really nice meeting room. So that's coming up. Let me see. What else is going on? Like I said, we're starting to line up bills. We're looking at starting to get sponsors for our bills because we need constitutional carry put in again. Will we get it? Probably not. But that doesn't mean you stop. You keep putting it in, getting people used to it. Look, when we first put in constitutional carry, the Republicans had control of everything. Couldn't get it out of a committee. The head of the committee.
Bill Howell.
Well, yeah, Bill Howell, but it was also the chairman of the committee, who was no longer in the General Assembly, that just didn't like the idea. Said people need to have permits, and I just couldn't get it past him, so that never made it. But we're going to continue trying, and we're going to do it. But so far, 25 states have done it, and we're still sitting here. But we've had, look at the General Assembly we've had for the last few years.
What is the disposition of Youngkin on guns?
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah, well, the truth is we don't know. He's never said anything about supporting gun control. He did talk about supporting
he's
the
up in
Second
Michigan
Amendment.
right now, so he can't talk to us.
Yeah. Well, I'm cautiously optimistic that he'll be okay. I've seen no sign that he wouldn't be. He's just not been put to the test. Now, some people have come forward and said, well, why do we still have a ban at ABC and DMV and all the state agencies? Well, because it's no longer, and for several years now, has not been a governor's edict. It's been law. It's like the Democrats sensed that they were going to lose control of the General Assembly, so they made things that were originally executive orders into law. So now Youngkin can't do much. It's up to the General Assembly to undo those laws, but then we would expect him to sign those bills.
Right.
The only thing that he's had any kind of a test on, and it really wasn't a test, was the switchblades. We got the switchblade bill through. I knew that was going to go when Senator Saslaw, who's totally anti-gun, very much against this, it came up in the Senate committee, switchblades. And he stood up, and I said, okay, here we go. Oh boy, here comes all the reasons that this bill should die. And he stood up there and he went, yeah, I grew up in the 40s and 50s. And I'm thinking, oh boy, here we go, West Side Story and the switchblade. I grew up in the 40s and 50s, and all my friends had switchblades in their pockets, and nobody got hurt with them, so I liked the bill. I said, sold America, and it was over, it was done. And out of 140 total votes, it got 138. Okay. Now, the problem with switchblades, and the Governor Youngkin signed it, no problem. Now, that was his only test, and that wasn't a real strong test, considering 138 of 140 people voted for it. But you can't carry them concealed, because we have a concealed handgun permit, not a concealed weapon permit.
Oh, don't get me started.
I know. Well, so. However, I will be the first to remind Senator Saslaw of what he said. Your friends had switchblades where? In their pockets. And nobody got stabbed.
It's cool.
So let's take switchblades out of the concealed weapon law.
Yep.
And we got it.
Yep.
And I think that might be one we can also get done next year.
Because that law specifically says that you cannot conceal firearms, nunchucks, switchblades. It goes through a whole list of things and it names them specifically.
Brass
You
knuckle.
cannot conceal those things, except you can conceal a handgun if you have a permit. So concealing a handgun is against the law, but you can get an exception to the law if you jump through the hoops and pay the tax.
Yeah, Virginia used to have a concealed weapon permit. And that got taken away in '95 when we got shall issue. Back when it was a may issue permit, when they could turn you down for any reason under the sun, it was a concealed weapon permit. You were exempt from all of that. but they made it a concealed handgun permit. Anybody know why they did that? Yeah. Well, because you could conceal a short-barreled machine gun under your coat then, because that would be actually a pistol. That's the logic. Now, how many here carry a short-barreled machine gun under their coats? You know, it's like, come on, guys. Well, yeah, and I've told this story before too. Why do we have to conceal our handguns if you got a permit and you pull onto school property? You cannot have that handgun visible.
Because the kids get jealous.
Yeah. Well, we used to have gun racks in the back of our cars. No, if you pull onto school property, you got a concealed handgun permit. Your gun's got to be concealed, and that's because a senator back when that law was modified to allow you to at least have a permit and have a loaded gun in your car with you, who then became a Supreme Court justice in Virginia and is now about to retire, Mims.
Yeah.
Mims said, well, what if, I kid you not, now these are legislators who are doing serious things, and Mims said, well, what if somebody pulled, and he was dead serious, what if somebody pulled onto school property and they had a gun swinging from their rearview mirror? You know, do we want to allow that? And everybody in the room laughed, but I kind of took it as a joke at the time. I mean, you got to be kidding. Who has a gun swinging from their rearview mirror? Like, you know, first of all, that would be illegal because you'd be blocking the view. You know, you'd get pulled over for obstructing your view. But they were serious. They ended up making the law so that gun has to be concealed. So when you get to school property, you can't just take your loaded gun and put it in the glove box or a console. You got to unload it. So let's really make things dangerous. When is a gun most likely to have an accident?
When you're
Loading or unloading. So what's the last thing on God's green earth you want to force people to do in their crowded automobile?
Load or
Unload their gun. But so there's things we need to fix. And by the way, I'm going to be pushing the Utah model again. We really need to do what Utah has done. It's worked beautifully. They've never had a school shooting. Anybody with a permit can carry. They've done this for 12, 13 years. And there's been no shooting because who would you shoot first? See, it's a deterrent. They've never actually had to use it. They never had to have a teacher draw down on somebody because nobody's tried it. If you shot the teacher, a visiting parent could be armed. You shoot the visiting parent, and the guy fixing the air conditioner from an air conditioning company could be armed. It could be it could be anybody that's in that building that's an adult with a permit. They could be carrying, and it works. And we need to do the same thing in Virginia and make our schools really safe. It's going to be a tough battle because the other side's done a good job of, oh my God, guns in schools. You know, they've really done a good job in making everybody want to shy away from that. But what other thing do we have that's an important government thing where it's sensitive that we don't have any way of really protecting it? Maybe they have a resource officer, maybe. And a lot of schools share the resource officer. So somebody that wants to attack the school looks at his watch and says, okay, about 2 o'clock the resource officer leaves every day to go to the other school, and then there's nobody. So these are things that will be coming down the road. We're going to continue that fight. A lot of states are starting to relook at schools. And Utah is not the only one that allows anybody with a permit to carry, but they're a classic example. So anyhow, anybody have any other questions? No, anyhow, I appreciate all of you coming out. It's always fun. I always enjoy talking to everybody. You know, you can't ask for nicer people than gun owners. You know, really. I always enjoy myself. Everybody's always nice and friendly. In fact, usually after a VCDL event, I've watched the other side. After their events, everybody scatters because they don't like to even be around each other. But we'll have something with the restaurants having to blink the lights because people are still there, you know, an hour later talking and having a good time. Yeah, John.
And we always leave any place we leave cleaner than it was when we got
Right.
there.
Yes.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
they leave, it looks like a freaking disaster area.
It's like we're all from different planets. I don't know how else to describe it. Anyhow, I'll obviously be here for a while. If you have any questions or anything, we have other board, Pat Webb. Again, she was speaking up here earlier. If you need to know anything about anything from her, she's here. So we got Bruce. If Bruce Jackson on the board, he's our guy, our equipment guy. Anything you need up here, we've got stickers, membership brochures. Remember, if you have friends you want to make them join, be sure to put your information on the line that you're the one that sent them, so that you get credit. And maybe next year you can win a firearm if you're up.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that membership drive and how people can get credit for recruiting new members?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So if you on the membership app, for example, if you hand this to a friend, or if you're working a gun show, which is a good reason, if you really like winning a gun, a good place to build up enough credits is working a gun show. But there is a line on the page that they fill out to mail in to join. There is a line that you would pre-fill out that says recruited by. So if you're working a gun show, you put your last name and your membership number, and then you just hand them this. They fill out the rest of it, mail it in. You get credit. We keep track of all that.
So we gave away 7 guns this year.
Yeah.
And the top 10 recruiters get rewarded with guns or ammo. So we had ammo and 2 people donated guns. So we usually do 5 guns and the other 5 get ammo. And it was fun because this year 3 of the top recruiters chose ammo instead of guns. And that tells you what kind of time you
Yeah, that's right. That was funny. That it was ammo was real quick on some of us. Wow, because we had 45, 22, and 9 millimeter. Bruce, go ahead. You want to say something about the?
Yeah. Just a quick question. How many members are we up to now, and how many people are on the mailing?
We have 13,000 paying members. We have on the alert, we have almost 59,000 right now. And then that's not counting our, our social media. I think, what do we have now, Ed? 60,000, 80,000 on Facebook, and we're on all the social media platforms. We run all of them, so that if one of them disappears, we're on all of them. Yeah, if you're looking for us, we're out there on social media.
I want to say a couple of things too. You?
Go ahead. Nope.
Okay. Okay, I also want to mention that we have 2 women's groups that meet at Green Top Shooting Range. We have some people here today from A Girl and a Gun that meets down there, and there's also a Well Armed Woman group, and you can look both of them up online. Great groups, and they go over to Green Top Shooting Range and shoot if you want to go and shoot without all the guys around, because we don't want to intimidate the guys, you know.
And we have a men's group if you don't want to shoot around women. No, just kidding.
Yeah, because we don't want the women embarrassing us. Hey, as an instructor, I've had multiple women, never held a gun before, 10 shots, 10 bullseyes. I've never seen a man do it. Right? Hey, we got the table here, lots of stuff. Right now I'm having a sale on the patches. The patches are $1 a piece, cash and carry. We can take credit cards. We will take credit cards. Sometimes we give them back. We've got carry cards. Take some. They fold up. You fold them in half. You can put them in a business card holder. You have them with you to give out. So you tell people, hey, good information on the back. Go to their website, sign up for their emails. Also, like Philip said, if you want to recruit, we've got extra brochures. Please come up and grab some, grab 3, grab 5, grab a bundle. Just get more folks into fray. Continue to talk to your friends, your relatives, anyone who'll listen, and some that won't, and get them to go vote. We didn't vote. Because we didn't vote, we got what we got. How many times have you talked to somebody, oh, the government sucks. Well, did you vote? Well, no, my vote doesn't count. Then you're an idiot. Right? Just convince them of the error of their ways. Again, come on up. We got materials for you. You know, it's all about getting the word out, folks. Thanks.
So now you got me thinking. So you said that the men almost virtually never get the 10 shots in the bullseye. So it's men that invented shotguns.
They came equipped.
They came equipped. Okay. Anyhow, I pretty much all I had. If anybody doesn't have any questions, but I do appreciate you all being out. This was nice. I enjoyed this. This is a great place. We probably ought to do this again at some point. Maybe next time a little more into the fall. And to show how I thought this out ahead of time, I put this where there's no fan. Right here it's nice and hot. Now if I put it back there,
We're all fans, fella.
yeah. I'm gonna put it back there underneath that helicopter. Well, thank you very much.
Now karaoke starts.
Yes.